As a student who aspires to be a change maker myself, I am so excited to be in the presence of our panelists tonight. Please give us a moment while we have our panelists join us on stage. Our first panelist is City of Riverside Councilwoman Erin Edwards. As council member, she led the passage of the North Side Specific Plan in 2020. Councilmember Edwards championed a policy, which passed in October 2021, that prioritizes local hiring for the development of surplus city land. Erin has played a key part in the important work of addressing many issues in the river bottom, taking steps towards regional coordination, sealing entrances off to unauthorized vehicles, and proposing a plan to stop warming fires at the most at-risk areas. Our next panelist is Western Municipal Water District Director, Fauzia Rizvi. A business owner and a community advocate with an expertise working as a professional in the field of water management and consulting, she joined Western's Board of Directors in December 2020. She represents Division 5, which includes the city of Corona, Home Gardens, El Cerrito, and a portion of Temescal Canyon. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. Let's now begin our advice speed round. I will have a total of 5 questions for our panelists, and they will each have up to 1 minute to respond. We will have a timekeeper who will ring a bell to indicate a panelist's time is up. I hope you all enjoyed this speed round panel. Now, let's begin. My first question to the panel is as follows. You are both the first in your fields. The first openly LGBTQ Riverside City Council member. The first Muslim elected official in the Inland Empire. What drew you to your respective positions representing people on a local and a regional level?
Thank you so much. It's good to be here and share the panel with Fauzia. But now that some of the panelists are not here, we get more than 1 minute, right? Just kidding. Well, the local level is where the decisions are made that most impact our daily lives. And when I looked at the elected officials in the city of Riverside before 2019, I was elected in December, I didn't see a city council that looked like the Riverside I knew and the Riverside I lived in. It didn't look like my neighbors, it didn't look like my family. And so I was very drawn to ask every single other person I saw if they would run for office to have a council that would better reflect our city. And so I went around and I asked people, I asked women, we don't have any women on our city council, will you run? Everyone turned me down. Everyone said, and I had recently moved to the city of Riverside, well, why don't you run? Like, that's absurd. It will not grow. But and here I am. So sometimes you just have to roll up your own sleeves and do what you're asking everyone else to do. But I'm very excited to now see a city council that really does so much better reflect our city.
Yeah, and it's so good to be with you. It's just a dream come true being here and to change in this moment. So thank you, UCR. Thank you, Denise, for giving me the opportunity. What led me to be here was never seeing someone looking like me being in these spaces, never having to know what it is like to be a woman leader who looks like me. And that question has grown inside me for a long time. Since I was a young girl, I'm like, why is it that women like us are not leading? I'm a water engineer. My expertise are in, my business is in engineering, consulting, and I'm currently overseeing a budget of $250 million. Yet, I haven't seen anyone looking like me being spaces. So for me, seeing my daughter, and when she was growing up, I always thought that maybe I am the one who's gonna have to change that. And I took it upon myself to do so. And here we are today.
Thank you both. My next question is this. How have you navigated gender discrimination and double standards throughout your lives?
Thank you. I certainly do feel it on city council, though I'm very lucky to have many supportive colleagues and friends around the region. The way I want to answer this question is it can be easy to get so angry because I don't know if you feel this, I feel like we have to work so much harder, so much harder. And read and study twice as hard, 3 times as hard as others. It's exhausting. But, I heard Jackie Casillas in the previous panel talk about really diving into the strategic plan. And I love that answer because one way that I found success is getting really comfortable with things that sound very, very boring. And just following them, because that's where the power is. The budget, knowing the budget, the numbers, and following that. That's how I've found a lot of success. So get comfortable with the boring and the numbers would be my response.
For me, I have fought for equality and equity all my life within my community, within with every space I've been in. So being on the board, where, as Jackie said, as Erin mentioned, every day it's a fight, and you really have to pick and choose what matters to you. In a long run, what is better for your community, and why are you here in the first place? To represent the community that elected you, not just to answer to a board member or to go over general managers. And there have been so many times they will people will come say, no, this can't be done. And that's something I've learned to say, there has to be a way. We just have to find it. It may take longer, but it will happen. So that has been my philosophy.
Thank you so much for your responses. My next question is as follows. Mental health is an important issue for many young people. How do you maintain your mental health, especially as elected officials who face a significant amount of pressure as a representative of their constituents?
I mean, the first answer is therapy. When I was running for office, my dad died. And so I went to see a therapist and found that it was so helpful not just to process the grief in my dad's death, but also to process campaigning. Campaigning is hard, and having someone to talk to and process who isn't just a friend or a family member was so helpful. And in addition to that, I go on a lot of walks. I dance to Top 40 radio in the kitchen, play with my daughter. There are a lot of ways to try to get out of my head and remember that first and foremost, I'm a member of this community. It goes back to what we heard in the previous panel about finding the why. If you know your why and you're doing it for the right reasons, which is the community, to make a difference in your community, go back and live in your community, and it helps in the day-to-day.
I like to go get my nails done. So every time I am stressed out and there is something like the worst thing going on in my day, people will know where I am because I will be at the nail salon. I find it therapeutic. I find it, there is one place that I can just not think about what's going on and think about who I am, why am I doing this, and other than that, having that village, talking to them, it's therapeutic, it's relaxing. But for me, personal, I have decided, yes, this is my way out. At least for an hour or two, I can get away with life and just be by myself and learn who I am.
I love that. Those are both great answers. So we're now at our fourth question. What would you say is your greatest accomplishment as a female leader? Now's your time to show off.
I'll go back to the budget. So we've had 3 budgets since I've been in office since December of 2019. And in the first budget, we were able to get street outreach nurses for the first time in our city as part of our homeless outreach team. I'm very proud of that. Thank you. In the second budget, we were able to establish a brand new program of parks and neighborhood specialists that would, because we learned that of the police calls, a third of those calls came from the parks in a quarter-mile radius. And so we were able to put in special teams that were part of the police department, but not police officers who were specially trained to really focus on those areas. And then in the third budget, because I've been so focused on the river in Riverside and protecting our river and addressing the humanitarian crisis that's in our riverbed, I was able to have $5.8 million over 2 years in our budget to create special wildlands public safety and engagement teams that for the first time pairs guest police officers, also fire professionals because of the fires in the river bottom, 63 in this calendar year alone, just in my district, and also more homeless outreach workers. And in fact, the city of Riverside is now hiring 14 new homeless outreach workers because of the work that we did in this budget. And I'm very, very proud.
So as a water professional, I thank you for the work you do for our riverbed, because that really affects everybody's water quality here. So thank you. But as a leader, I believe being here is the biggest achievement I feel. But as the work that during the pandemic, I started a nonprofit called For the People Task Force, and we were able to bring, highlight the food insecurity in our community. We held 110 food drives. We were able to bring 35 million pounds of food to the community, serving 50,000 residents throughout the Inland Empire. Really realized what the work needed for us, and it has led us for this project to become a private food bank where 35 nonprofit and churches come out to us, take food from us, so they can help serve their community members. So for me, that is something that is very close to my heart, and I look forward to keep on helping and making sure that that food insecurity is taken care of in our community.
All right, now we are down to our last question. What do you think is the best way for women to support other women who are on their journey to becoming leaders?
I don't know if I have much to add, honestly, from the last panel. There was such a great conversation amongst the other panelists about the importance of friendship when supporting each other, and not just you see someone and wave at an event and hug and take a picture, but actual friendship, which I think is an art that has been lost and is such an important way to support each other.
Listen to them. When women are telling you something, listen to them. I do believe that that is something you uplift other women into this leadership. When a young girl comes to you and say, hey, I am interested in running for office, how does it work? You take time to make sure that they see what it is, what it takes to be here. Just being on this journey, I had to deal with people like, you can't do this, it is hard, how are you going to raise money? But for me, what I learned, what I can say to my younger self, that if they come to me, I would say, yes, you can. Let's look at the best way to go about it. And what is, as Jackie mentioned, what is your why? Why do you want to do this? Because being in office, governing, and running for office, 2 different things. And I believe governing is much harder than running for office. So being, making those promises, but when you get into these positions, elected positions, you learn how constrained you are. you learn to work with other folks that totally disagree with you. So making those adjustments is hard. So I always say that listen to them and take a journey with them to be there for them. So thank you.
Thank you so much to our local elected officials who joined us today for this speed round panel. Please join me in giving them all a warm round of applause. It has been an amazing honor serving as your moderator, and I hope you both had so much fun. I also hope that all my fellow classmates were able to learn from these trailblazers on stage just as much as I have. And now this concludes our panel, and at this point I will hand it back to Denise.
Thank you so much to our amazing panelists. Thank you so much to our amazing audience. You know, this was a really special event, not just because we're in this incredible venue, the Cheech, but it's special because even though it's the 6th year of Persist, the last 2 years we've been online. And so this is very exciting to be back in person, in community. Also, I know we do have a lot of people watching online, so shout out to the Zoom audience. Thank you for participating from afar. But really, thank you so much. Show of hands, who's thinking about running for office? Okay, good. This is wonderful. Hopefully we see you back here next year at the 7th Annual Persist Conference. Thank you so much. We have about 18 minutes for you to mingle and network, and then we will be closing the event at 9 p.m. Thank you and have a great night.